Hey guys, hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Freedom Fanatics. My name is Solon, and this week I'm joined by my colleagues Chris and Diego is finally back. We've certainly missed the main man. I definitely just want to encourage you guys to go and follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube. Subscribe to our content, like to our content, engage as much as possible, and see it with everyone and see it everywhere, for sure. So yeah, I think for this week's episode we can get straight into things. So first up, this week we are going to be discussing a recent report that came out in the Daily Maverick, and specifically um, report that released polling data that essentially shows that the ANC is going to lose majority power in the country. And what essentially that means is that they're going to drop below 50%, at least according to the polling, and that we're going to see an increase in support for many of the other political parties in this country, like Action SA, the Democratic Alliance. It said there that the EFF will stagnate. But those are a lot of other details that we won't get into right now. But I just want to gauge the thoughts of you guys. Diego, do you think that this new polling that's being suggested by the Daily Maverick is accurate? Do you think that we will see a drop in the ANC support, or will they continue to, be the ruling party in this country? What are your thoughts?
Sure. No, we actually had a discussion around this with two colleagues of mine yesterday, Nicholas Lorima and Herman Pretorius. We were on the Daily Friend, and I think Herman made a very good point that much as this polling report is out, it hasn't been shared what methodology has been used to arrive at these conclusions. So it's hard to foretell whether the polling is accurate if you don't know what the methodology used was, right? But from just a general view, not basing it on basing it on past elections. Of course, since '94, we have seen the ANC support dwindling bit by bit, and yeah, it does look like come 2024, they will certainly go beyond. They'll certainly go below a 50% mark by the look of things. But of course, it's a game of politics, and there's still over a year before elections. Anything can happen. We have a history in South Africa whereby the opposition just wakes up on a random day and shoots its own feet. We might wake up one day and you find that the oppositions have shot themselves on the feet or anything. So a year is quite a long period in politics. But as things stand, it does look like the ANC will be going out in 2024. I guess the rest really remains on the part of political parties, campaigning and everything of that nature, but as well making sure that they don't shoot their own feet before 2024.
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant point, Diego. That shooting themselves in their own foot tends to happen a lot with politicians these days. But yeah, Chris, as Diego mentions, man, it's merely a snapshot of opinions right now or over the past period. And I mean, there's still a long way to go. We've seen a lot of new people trying to join the political game, trying to stand for election, already prepping the groundwork now. We see political parties bickering at each other, being petty on Twitter of all places, and we know how exciting Twitter is, okay? And we see this stuff constantly happening. Do you think that we have a reason to be optimistic? And yeah, what are your thoughts surrounding this new polling that suggests the ANC falling below 50%?
I'm sort of um worried at some part of me is worried and some part of me is a bit excited. And I think the ANC's decline is as a result of its bad economic and social policy, and it's not addressing any of the most crucial issues facing South Africans. And it's basically shown how out of touch the ANC is with the ordinary South African. And it's, yeah, we can be hopeful, and at the same time, we need to be sort of aware of the fact that things might not go the way it's looking there, and we should be prepared for any outcome.
Yeah, no, for sure. Diego, just the last point that I wanted to get you on, that Chris just touched on is that things have the possibility of not going the way we would necessarily want it to go. Because I mean, in the polling data, it's like the ANC is like in the 40s, and then you have the EFF who's like got like 10% in this prediction, and what we would essentially see is that if the ANC must lose power, we will still have a situation where the EFF and the ANC will be in coalition to be a government. And I'm like, is that really better than what we have right now?
Yeah, actually, it's something that's been on my mind a lot as well. That since Julius Malema came entered into politics under the banner of the EFF, having left the African National Congress Youth, he has been saying that he would be open to working with any political party, right? Or his party would be open to working with any political party that protects certain interests, right? And we have seen over the years, let's talk about last year's local government elections. They gave their support to the new coalition governments that we have in our local governments, but they have emphasized that when it comes to the national government, uh, they would not give it to a liberal party. So they would not give it to the DA much as they are giving it to them now at local government level. So the concern is that come 2024, we are likely going to have a situation whereby any party that wants to, any coalition that wants to be formed might need the EFF in it, and that's trouble in itself, because we know for sure that Malema will demand that he must be the president of the country if he's gonna give anyone his support. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I have a bit of flu. Malema will say that his support must, to gain his support, you'd want to stand as the president of the country. So that's where the crisis lies for me, that come 2024, when a new government must be formed, say the ANC goes below 50%, and let's say they go to around 45%, and or even below 40, as the estimations have been going around now. Then there's going to be a crisis there. But a good point that Nicholas Lorima made yesterday was that, look, we have an ANC crisis right now, and more of the focus at this point should be on removing them. The other ones we'll see when they come, but I think there's a bit of danger on that as well. But yeah, at the end of the day, democracy must take its place in society. People must elect. We end up with whatever results, and when we arrive at that point, we'll have to figure out a way from that point. But it's quite scary looking at the picture that, yeah, if things really go that way, yeah, but we'll see it as it comes. We'll see it as it comes.
Yeah, no, absolutely right, Diego. And just a reminder to obviously all our viewers is that the elections polling might say one thing, but elections are made and decided by those who actually show up. And that's why we always encourage everyone to, you know what, get registered to vote, pitch up, vote for a sensible opposition party that doesn't have these radical ideas of taking away your property and, continuing with racist policies. So yeah, that's definitely something we want to encourage people to do, to definitely show up in the next election, and we will continue doing that for the foreseeable future until then to see a favorable outcome. Obviously for this country, because we know how important um, our political spectrum is and the decisions that's made there. We cannot afford to sit on the sidelines for sure. And yeah, so next up we also have another issue or story that broke this the past few days, and the story is actually around police SAPS officials who were caught brutally beating up and then threatening and intimidating a bystander, a civilian, just absolutely beating him up after he attempted to essentially report his Diego, I think it was his girlfriend, or his significant, his partner, a missing persons report. He tried doing that, and the SAPS were unwilling to respond to him, according to him, and they ended up fiercely just getting out of their vehicles and beating him up, which is a very unfortunate situation, especially when we have to consider that these SAPS is meant to protect us from violence, and yet they are the ones committing violence in this case. And an interesting fact: this actually occurred in Fischhoek in Western Cape, which is exactly close to where I actually stay, on this side. So these are my streets, my guy. These are my streets. But yeah, Chris, what are your thoughts around this issue? Do you think that there will be any sort of accountability for these these SAPS officials?
I can only hope that SAPS and the Independent Police Investigative Directorate will follow this up diligently and do their work in holding these people accountable. I mean, it's caught on video for everybody to see. The video went viral, so there will be public pressure for them to sort this out and hold them accountable. So I can only hope that it happens. But this is truly horrific. I mean, you can see the man there in the picture is basically under the van, and they're trying to pull him out. I mean, he's trying to get away from them. Just they should have left him alone. I mean, they even tried to attack the person, another person taking a video. You don't do that, especially if they're trying to document occurrence of public violence like that, especially if it's law enforcement.
Yeah, no, brilliantly said, Chris. I definitely agree with you. Let's hope that there will actually be some sort of accountability, and this one won't just be swept under the rug, for nobody to see. And as usually it's a case of, we will get back to you guys in a few weeks after we've done our investigation. That few weeks turns into years, and then nothing occurs about the situation. So let's hope that accountability will actually prevail in the side. Diego, what are your thoughts surrounding this? Do you think it erodes even more distrust that we already have in our public police service, and it may essentially just makes us trust them even less? I'm just thinking about situations where it's like when there should be an emergency or criminal activity, and firstly, the actions of South Africans are meant to be: we are going to run to the police service to report this, to make this known. But with stories like this, when there's an emergency, we would rather run away from our police service. We have one responsibility, and that is safety and security. And instead, we would run away from them for the very mandate, and yeah, try to solve things in our own right. And that's usually dangerous, because what we tend to see is stuff like mob violence and mob justice, and that's not productive either. But what are your thoughts, Diego?
Yeah, no, you're quite correct. I think my thoughts around the issue are that we do have some good police people in the South African police force, but we equally, well, no, perhaps not equally, but we also have a lot of rotten police people. This video, I certainly think that it will decrease the trust that people have in the police force, those who at least get to interact with the video. But I think that, yeah, there are still good policemen and good policewomen out there. But I think the issue with the police force really seems to lie mainly with their training. The South African police force doesn't seem to at all be trained properly. I mean, you look at Marikana, what happened in Marikana. You look at what happened in Ficksburg when a man was murdered as part of who was part of protest. If I remember correctly, this was in 2012 or 2011, somewhere there. You look at recent protests in Krugersdorp and Tembisa, people were shot and killed, some by the police. This, I think, tells us very well that our police force are not well trained. Some of them don't even deserve to be in positions that they are in. So there's a lot of work that has to be done. Come 2024, let's hope that South Africans will vote for a government that understands the importance of a police force that is effective, that understands very well its purpose, that really lives to protect that purpose. And fundamental to their purpose is a question of protecting civilians. That is the most fundamental purpose of the police force. So by all means necessary, yet in this video, we see the very police who should be protecting civilians brutally being violent towards the very civilians that they should be protecting. It's something that's very nonsensical. It's not understandable, but it's an issue that I hope South Africans, as time goes, will look into together with other issues and elect a government that we think can handle these issues much better and understand that it's here to serve the people and not the other way around. If I may just quickly share, I've been pepper sprayed before by the police for no reason whatsoever, really, for asking a question simply because they wanted to stop me from going somewhere, and I wasn't violating any law of the land, and I got pepper sprayed at that point. So there's a question of police abusing their powers as well, and that wasn't even the police force doing it. It was just individual two arrogant individuals who wanted to show me that they have the power to do whatever when they are wearing their blue uniform, But that's not how it should be. That's really not how it should be. Police should understand that South African citizens through taxes are the ones paying their salaries. Of course, they do pay salaries as well. And we had an agreement as a South African society. Really, the constitution is that, right? It's an agreement between all of us as citizens to say that we want things in our country to run like this, and we are going to contribute so much. We are going to entrust these people to govern these things. That's what it really is. So the police really belongs to us. It can't be the very police that belongs to us as the people that then violates us. This must be sorted quickly, I reckon.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct, Diego. And it just made me reminded me of the situation of Ian Cameron, where he was just asking inconvenient questions for our police minister, and they literally dragged him out of a police forum, a public police forum of all places. And that's why we see, as trust is being eroded in our police service. We have this trend where we are seeing more and more private security being employed, more greater amounts of private security being deployed to communities, to households. And that is clearly a trend that is going to continue in this country as our public services tend to decline. Is that people will obviously see where's the private sector with this regard, where can they help us do this. And a point you usually raise, Diego, is that the problem with that also is that we are then taking away accountability from the government or from the state for services that they are meant to actually provide. So yeah, we definitely hope that we will be a changing trend, and that our police service will be more trustworthy in the future.
If
But yeah, nonetheless,
can I just
we
interrupt in
are next
there?
up. Yeah, Chris.
I remember watching a story that Carte Blanche had investigation that they had into SAPS disciplinary process, and it was completely underwhelming the way that they sort of just passed the buck around, and it sort of illustrated to me that it's not the top priority, especially when they accused of allegedly assaulting people and doing things that is illegal. Yeah.
No, that's a really good point, Chris. If there's no internal accountability, how can we possibly expect external accountability to be as effective as we want it to be? But yeah, guys, that's the end of our Freedom Fanatics segment. Next up, we are going to be joined by the great Mbali, and yeah, for a look at your reactions to our in TikTok content that we post. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Mbali joining us right now, and yeah, we'll see you guys on the other side.
Ah man, I was still jamming to that intro.
Nah,
Hi guys. Hi guys, welcome to hashtag your reactions. This is where you guys are allowed to vent, you guys are allowed to share your opinions. It's a safe space. So, guys, for today, we are looking at a video from one of our own, Mr. Sholen Poisons, our TikToker, and he is talking about South Africans being xenophobic. Yes, you heard that right. Let's listen to the video. Now, Sholen? No. Okay, Sholen doesn't want to
South
play.
Africa's international relations minister has
Okay,
thanked the
even
Zimbabwean
now that
government
he's
for helping the
playing,
country
he's
decrease illegal
mute.
immigration.
Let's unmute
Do you
him.
think the government of South Africa has... Naledi Pandor, South Africa's international relations minister, has thanked the Zimbabwean government for helping the country decrease illegal immigration. Do you think the governments of South Africa and Zimbabwe have done enough to save citizens from xenophobia and decrease the amount of illegal immigration happening in the country? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.
Nice, short, and sweet. Diego, let me know your thoughts. This is the comment section.
Well, firstly, my first thoughts would be that I don't think South Africa necessarily has a xenophobia crisis. I think that I think that the illegal immigration question, it's a very complex question, right? I think what we have actually is a government that's failing to
Okay.
do its job, a government that's failing to secure our borders, to ensure that civilians are protected at all times and stuff of that nature, and that everyone who comes into the country does so legally, right? Now that the government has failed that job, I think the people are now themselves trying to step into the shoes of the government and do the job themselves. And I think that's what is now appearing as xenophobia. But I don't think it's necessarily xenophobia, but really a huge call to say that let the laws of this land be implemented as they are. Let's respect the rule of law. Our laws say that anyone who comes into the country should come with a work permit or a study permit or come to visit or apply for asylum, right? And we at the moment don't have these laws being followed. We have a lot of illegal immigrants in South Africa at the moment, and of course, illegal immigration and dealing with that question would not fix all of South Africa's problems, but it's a start at ensuring that we do respect our laws very well, and we ensure that even countries outside our own respect our laws how we'd like for them to be respected. So I don't think it's necessarily a xenophobia crisis, but a government crisis that people are now then stepping in and acting on the part of the government in a way. But there is a xenophobia crisis in South Africa as well, but I don't think that what we see on a rise at the moment is necessarily, I don't think it's in any way influenced. I don't think it's influenced by hate, because for it to be xenophobia, that it would have to be influenced by hate. I think it's influenced by wanting to protect the laws of the country and ensure that everyone who's in the country, everything that comes into the country is checked. There must be checks and balances in any country that takes itself seriously, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go straight into our first comment. And Rose says, true that. They always tell you what you want to hear. If you have realized, every African country is still ruled by the party that got them independence. Sholen, true or false?
So that is not completely true, because not all liberation movements still have control of African countries. In Africa, that's not necessarily true. But I did want to jump on Diego's comment about like xenophobia not being a crisis. Like, xenophobia is essentially like the dislike of foreigners or foreign nationals coming, or immigrants coming into the country illegally or legal. But that is a problem that we have in this country, because there are so many reports constantly of like people being burnt alive whether it's in townships merely because they're from Zimbabwe, where people go around and ask, like, are you able to speak a South African language? Can you speak Zulu? Can you speak, Xhosa? If you can't, and you have a foreign accent for whatever reason, they will burn you alive. That's the type of mob justice occurring in South Africa. That's the reality. But on the same time, I am one who has strong beliefs regarding strong borders for a country.
Yeah.
Absolutely necessary. There is no way around the rule of law being enforced through that, because we need to define where our country's rule of law begins and where it ends. That's why I believe strong borders are absolutely necessary. What I will say though is that the way we do tackle illegal immigration is by actually having a proper home affairs government. Because I mean, the Home Affairs as a department must be effective if we want to curtail not only illegal immigration by letting people come here legally. The best way we can do that is by having a functioning Home Affairs system. But as usually, things tend to be offline a lot on that side in that department. And
True.
what we did have is that because people are unable to come here legally for whatever reason, we have a situation where they are here breaking a law that people must have here come here with a proper documentation, and it causes people to be illegal in
Yeah.
the country. But what
Yeah.
so what I will say is that if we want to stop xenophobia that has this light towards illegal immigration, we need to solve illegal immigration in itself, because
Yeah.
xenophobia is really a symptom of a system that is broken clearly in this country. So to
True.
fix xenophobia, we have to fix our migration policies in this country. Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because you get at Home Affairs at like 4 a.m. and then by the time it hits 9, they're like, no, we're done for the day. These are the only people we can help today. It's a
Yes.
mess. It's a mess. Lalina says, Siyabonga, if there are countries at least attempting to help because they are fighting with us, it's difficult to understand the logic. And I think what she's speaking to, because countries like Botswana, you'll not find such. You'll never find South Africans jumping into Botswana and leaving a day to tell, oh, I went to Botswana. No, you are immediately going to be taken back. Do you understand? And then it's like we need to also adopt from our neighboring countries. Following their footsteps. And I think it's a great thing that Zimbabwe is finally taking a step. Chris, what are your sentiments here? Illegal immigrants, as Lalina says, they are fighting us. Are they fighting with us?
No, they're not fighting with us. They come to South Africa for opportunities that they didn't have in Zimbabwe because of what the Zimbabwean government caught on with the economy and Robert Mugabe's stupid economic policies. They came here because they found an opportunity for work. And I will add that Patricia de Lille's washing line of a border is sort of indicative of the problem that South Africa faces with illegal immigration. And they come here for opportunities. They want to work. They have the jobs, and the people here want to take the jobs away from them. Jobs aren't. It's not. How can I put this?
Okay.
It's not. It just doesn't stop at one point. You create jobs. So those people looking for jobs, trying to take the jobs away from those illegal immigrants, don't have to do that if their government provided them opportunities. So if they can sort out illegal immigration, that's a good thing. But there's a difference between illegal immigration and legal immigration.
Yeah.
True. Sholan Diego wants to go first because I think you guys have a.
No, Sholan can go first.
Yeah, no, Chris made a really good point there. I do think that we are going to put ourselves in a dangerous situation when we say things like, nah, you know what, all of these foreigners, they're just coming to take away all of our jobs. And so, because you want to know why, because even if you take every job away from a foreigner and give it to a South African, there will still not be enough jobs to give the majority of South Africans a better life.
Yep.
Because eventually we will go from, say, for example, in this ideal world that these guys want to really portray, all jobs are taken away from foreign nationals, and there's still not enough jobs for South African. You know what will be the next thing to occur? Then it will fall over into ethnic divisions,
Yep.
because then we will have a situation where the causes might be like, nah, all these colors, they're taking away our jobs. Then all the colors
Yep.
will be like, oh no, we have all these white folks stealing our jobs. And that is a very dangerous rippling effect that it might have.
Yeah.
So that's why I would really caution against the idea that nah, all these foreigners are taking away our jobs when we have a government that's been failing.
Yep.
We can't take away accountability from them. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what Diego mentioned, is that we have to also keep our focus on who is actually the ones who have the
Yep.
power to, you know what, change the situation we have right now. So, Diego?
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I wanted to respond to you, Sholense. I
Yeah.
think regarding xenophobia, there's certainly xenophobia and xenophobic cases, xenophobic attacks in South Africa. But this particular meeting between the Minister of South Africa and the Minister of Zimbabwe was about curtailing illegal migration, not necessarily around xenophobia and xenophobic attacks and stuff of that nature. But I agree that that crisis is certainly there. But I think this is an important issue that has to be dealt with and as urgently as possible. But I agree with everything that Chris has said, that illegal immigrants who come into South Africa don't come because well, majority of them come because they are looking for opportunities so they may be able to provide for themselves and their family members. The crisis in Zimbabwe is very bad. And at a human level, at least, we should be able to we should be compassionate towards them around that. And that is just my general view, right? But the issue is with particularly illegal immigrants, those who are not registered, because we have a crisis in South Africa. Sometimes you find that, let me speak to crime, and I am not in any way saying that the crime, that we have a crime crisis in South Africa because of illegal immigrants. But a part of it has been contributed by them, although I think less than 5% of crimes in South Africa are committed by foreigners, right? The rest of them are committed by South Africans, if I remember the statistics very well. But what
I feel like it has changed now.
No.
We need to go look at those stats.
The statistics must have came out last week or so. So it's the most recent, it's the most recent statistics. So it's certainly less than 10% of the crimes. So we can't put the crime burden on them. We can't put the jobs, lack of jobs burden on them.
Yeah.
But regarding crime, you have a crisis whereby someone is in South Africa, not legally registered, they commit a crime. We don't have their fingerprints on record.
Yep.
Police get to the crime scene, collect fingerprints. The crisis is not being the crime is not able, the police are not able to deal with the crime report because they can't figure out who this person on the system is. And we have so many cases that are not solvable simply because fingerprints have been collected, but we don't know who the fingerprints belong to. That cannot be a normal country. That cannot be a safe country. In a safe country, foreigners, yes, definitely should be allowed to come into the country, should be allowed to have work permits, study permits, and everything of that nature. But we must definitely have them on record. They must come in legally. But another thing that must happen is that Zimbabwe, as an example, will not liberate itself. So Zimbabweans must have an interest, and this is just really a political statement more than anything. Zimbabweans must have an interest in liberating their country. When South Africans went out of the country into exile during apartheid days, they went into exile so they can strategize on ways of bringing about changes in the country. Now we have a situation whereby, yes, we have for example, Zimbabweans, and I'll speak about Zimbabweans since they are the ones nearest us, and most of the illegal immigrants that we have in South Africa come from Zimbabwe. They are in South Africa. We don't have Zimbabwean organizations, people organizing themselves, trying to lobby support from the South African government that we want to go back into our country and bring about this and this changes. Election times come, you find that there are elections in Zimbabwe. I was at Rhodes University. During elections, you have so many students from Zimbabwe on campus not going home to participate. They must have that drive to say that we must participate in the politics of our country so that we can fix it. South Africa cannot lend a hand forever, because really
Yeah.
the government has been lending a hand in terms of finances as well. That cannot be sustainable, right? But certainly the market should be open to everyone to work within. The economy is moving towards, the economy is now globalized, really. And anyone really, but in a legal manner, following certain procedures that are not even met. I mean, these are simple procedures to say that
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
want a work permit, we want a study permit. If you are coming
Cool.
to visit, there must be a time period. We must know when you are leaving. The police must ensure that you leave by that time. We have a crisis
Simple as
because the
that. Yeah.
police in South Africa is not working. So yeah, at the center of the immigration crisis, honestly, is not even the illegal immigrants themselves, but our government's failure to ensure
Yeah.
that the procedures are followed, to ensure that our borders are protected. So all of this anger, all of these tensions, South Africans should definitely direct towards the government and not the
Yeah.
illegal immigrants themselves. That is my
True.
general issue.
True.
Well, if I can just give
Yes,
a
Shole?
last look,
Mm-hmm.
and we must also ask ourselves, why are so many of these immigrants coming from places like Zimbabwe? And it's for the very reason because of the policies that the governments have tried, like expropriation without compensation,
Yeah.
nationalizing the bank. These socialist ideas have been tried in Zimbabwe. And
And they
look what has
failed.
occurred. Now they're in the situation where they are running away from the very policies that was implemented by the government. And exactly as the Diego said, that should still not be an excuse for them to not go back, go and vote, go and engage in the political process happening in their country. Because
Yeah.
I mean, if that's a warning for us in South Africa that if we disengage and we move away from this politics that's happening, that will end up in a situation where we will have to leave our homes to
Yep.
go and look for better life somewhere else. And I pray to
Yeah.
God that that day does not come. Yeah, Mbali.
Definitely, guys. I think this was an amazing chat. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of hashtag Your Reactions. Do remember to check out our online store. This is our new merch. Me and Sholin, representing. We'll leave the shop link in the description below. And yeah, guys, do remember your freedom is worth fighting for.